The great hall of the Galactic Council was filled with voices, echoing across marble walls carved from stone that came from 10,000 worlds. Representatives of many species sat in high seats, their eyes glowing, their scales shining, their wings folded, their claws tapping. They spoke of war, of danger, of a small blue planet far from the core. The planet's name was Earth. To many, it was nothing. To the Council, it was weak. The humans had only just begun to touch the stars. Their fleets were small, their colonies young, their numbers limited. To most alien leaders, Earth looked like prey. It looked like a world that could be taken in days. Some said it was a perfect target to show the galaxy the power of the Council. Others laughed and said humans would kneel once they saw real warships above their skies. But not all agreed. In the shadows of the chamber, a voice rose. It was an elder from a reptilian species, his scales black as night. He had studied Earth, and he spoke with warning. "You do not understand what they are," he hissed. "You see humans as weak because you measure them by fleets and numbers. But you must measure them by their world. Earth is not like our homeworlds. Earth is not gentle. Earth is a death world." The hall grew quiet. Some turned their heads, confused. Others smirked. The word carried weight, for everyone in the galaxy knew what a death world meant. Death worlds were planets where everything killed, where storms tore cities apart, where predators hunted even in the night, where the ground itself betrayed the living. Most species could not survive a day on such planets. The elder's voice grew stronger. Their oceans are filled with hunters. Their skies strike lightning that can burn stone. Their ground shakes and opens, swallowing villages. Even the plants poison, even the insects kill. And yet, humans live. They do not only live, they thrive. They build in deserts, they build in ice, they build in jungles. They have turned their entire death world into their cradle. Do you not see? That is what they are. Laughter broke out from several rows. A massive insectoid delegate clicked its mandibles. If their world is so dangerous, then humans should be broken, not strong. They should be weak from constant struggle. Another, with eyes like liquid gold, leaned forward. This is nothing but fear. They are primitives. Their technology is young. Their weapons are crude. Their minds cannot match the Great Council. We will crush them and take their resources. It will be over before their leaders know what happened. Murmurs filled the chamber again, louder this time. The elder tried once more. You mistake danger for weakness. You mistake survival for fragility. Do you not understand? On any other world, they would have died. But on Earth, they learned to endure. They learned to fight. They learned never to give up. Their strength is not in their fleets. Their strength is in themselves. They are Deathworlders. And when you push them into war, you will face that truth. But the Council had already made up its mind. Pride was stronger than caution. The galaxy's most powerful nations had beaten countless enemies before. Why fear a young race from the edge of the stars? Why fear humans, who had only just begun to sail the void? The High Speaker of the Council raised her hand, her long fingers wrapped in gold rings. The hall fell silent. The matter is decided, she declared. The humans have ignored our laws. They expand without permission. They mine without paying tribute. They speak of independence. They must be taught their place. The Council will send fleets. We will demand surrender. If they resist, we will erase their defenses. So it is ordered. So it will be done. The decision thundered through the chamber like a hammer. Most cheered. Some remained silent. Only the elder lowered his head. He had seen something the others had not. He whispered to himself, "You do not know what you have woken." Far away, on the blue planet itself, humans continued their lives. Children played in the streets. Workers built new ships. Soldiers trained in silence. Leaders watched the stars, aware that something was coming. And above them, deep in space, the first council fleets were already moving. Their engines burned bright, carrying arrogance, carrying overconfidence, carrying doom. The aliens thought the war would be quick, a show of force, an easy victory. They did not yet know the truth. They did not yet know why humans were called Deathworlders. They would learn soon. And when they learned, it would already be too late. The council fleets entered the solar system like a storm. Great battleships, carriers, and cruisers glided through the dark, their hulls glowing with alien light, their weapons ready. To the aliens, this was not war. It was punishment. It was a lesson to a young species that dared to stand without bowing. In their arrogance, they believed humans would kneel as soon as they saw the power of the galaxy gathered above their skies. The alien commanders spoke with pride. "This will be quick," one said. "The humans will surrender before we fire a single shot." Another laughed, "If they resist, we will burn their cities and take what we want." But on Earth, humans were already watching. Their telescopes and satellites had tracked the invaders as they moved closer. In underground bunkers, military leaders studied every signal, every formation. In orbit, human defense ships turned their weapons toward the black. They were small compared to the alien armada, fragile compared to the sleek designs of the Council, but they were not weak. For humans had learned long ago that survival did not come from size or numbers. It came from the will to fight even when the fight seemed hopeless. The alien fleet approached Earth with their demands prepared. A message was sent across all human channels. It echoed with authority, filled with threat. "Humans of Earth, you stand accused of breaking the laws of the galaxy. You expand without permission. You mine without tribute. You resist the will of the Council. You have one choice. Surrender. Bow. Become subjects. If you resist, you will be destroyed." For a moment, silence stretched across the stars. The aliens waited, certain of victory. Then the reply came, spoken by a human leader whose voice was calm, steady, and cold. "This is Earth. We do not surrender. We do not bow. If you come to our skies with war, then you will face war." The words shocked the Council commanders. They expected fear. They expected begging. Instead, they were answered with defiance. Some laughed at the foolishness of it. Others grew angry at the insult. None of them understood what had just begun. The order was given. The first Council ships moved into attack position. Weapons charged. Beams of energy lit the dark void, rushing toward Earth's defense grid. Human satellites and stations exploded in fire. Space lit with chaos. The aliens roared in triumph. But then something unexpected happened. Human ships, small and fast, darted forward like hunters. They did not form lines like the Council. They swarmed. They struck from shadows. They sacrificed themselves to cripple larger ships. A single human fighter crashed into the shield of a cruiser, its detonation tearing through the alien hull. An entire alien destroyer fell silent in seconds. The commanders stared in shock. "Impossible," one hissed. "They should be broken. They should be retreating." But humans did not retreat. For every ship lost, two more charged forward. Their weapons were crude, yes, but their aim was deadly. They fought not as soldiers bound by orders, but as survivors who had faced death many times before and refused to give in. In control rooms across Earth, officers directed fleets with calm precision. Engineers rerouted power. Civilians, too, joined the fight, hacking into alien signals, spreading false data, turning chaos against the invaders. Humanity fought with everything they had, with every mind, every hand, every heart. The aliens grew restless. This was supposed to be a simple show of power. Instead, they were bleeding. Reports came of lost ships, of fleets scattering under human ambushes. One commander shouted, "They fight like they have nothing to lose." But another voice whispered the truth, "They fight like they have already survived worse." In orbit, debris floated, the remains of ships from both sides. Fires burned in silence. But through the smoke of war, human ships still moved, still struck, still refused to fall. The council realized too late that the war would not end in days. It would not end easily. These humans were not prey. They were predators born of a death world. As the first great battle over Earth raged, one alien captain sent a desperate message to the Council High Command. His words were filled with fear. "We thought them weak. We thought them fragile. We were wrong. They are not prey. They are monsters in human skin. If we continue this war, it will not be us teaching them fear. It will be them teaching us." The transmission cut off as his ship exploded, torn apart by a human railgun shot. And still the humans fought. Still they endured. The first blood of the Galactic War had been spilled. The aliens had wanted obedience. Instead, they had awakened fury. And in the silence between battles, as fleets regrouped and leaders planned, one truth began to spread like a whisper across the galaxy. The Deathworlders do not bow. They rise. They fight. And they are just beginning. The alien fleets had expected to win in orbit, but even as their ships burned above Earth, they moved to the next stage. They would land troops, crush human armies, and force surrender. Dropships broke through the atmosphere like falling stars, their black hulls glowing red from entry. Inside, alien soldiers prepared themselves. They had fought wars across many worlds. They had broken empires and enslaved nations. To them, humans would be no different. But the first shock came the moment they set foot on Earth. The air was heavy, thicker than most worlds. The gravity pressed down on their bodies, making every step harder. Storm clouds gathered above, lightning flashing across the skies as if the planet itself was watching. Some soldiers muttered uneasily, but their commanders silenced them. "It is only weather," they said. "Move forward." Yet the weather was only the beginning. The jungles where they landed were alive with sound, calls of unseen creatures, the hiss of insects, the crack of branches. Alien soldiers cut down trees and set up camps, but the forest did not fear them. It swallowed them. Poisonous plants brushed against their armor, leaving burns. In the night, shadows moved. Predators with glowing eyes circled their perimeter. Soldiers fired wildly, but the creatures did not break. They tested, they waited, they stalked. The aliens realized that Earth itself was a battlefield, one that fought against them at every step. And then came the humans. They did not march in open lines like the Council expected. They appeared from the trees, from the rivers, from the broken cities. They attacked at night, with silence and precision. A single squad of humans could wipe out a camp before vanishing again into the wild. Alien scanners tried to track them, but humans knew the land better. They struck with rifles, with blades, with explosives hidden in the mud. They fought like ghosts, and every shadow became a threat. The aliens were trained, disciplined, and armed with advanced weapons, but discipline meant little against fear. Soldiers whispered to each other in their own languages. The humans are everywhere. The humans do not sleep. The humans are not afraid. One commander tried to rally his troops. "They are only flesh. They bleed, they die." But his words lost meaning when a human sniper shot him through the chest before he could finish. Panic spread. Entire squads disappeared in the dark. Patrols never returned. And when bodies were found, the terror grew worse, for sometimes they were not whole. Sometimes they were torn apart by Earth's own predators. To fight humans on their own death world was to fight two enemies at once, the people and the planet. News spread quickly through the alien ranks. Stories of humans crawling through mud like animals. Stories of humans waiting for hours, unmoving, before striking with deadly accuracy. Stories of humans charging into fire even when wounded, refusing to fall. And worse, stories of humans laughing in the heat of battle. The aliens had fought many wars, but never against enemies who smiled at death. In ruined cities, battles grew even more brutal. Streets became traps. Buildings collapsed on alien armor. Sewers filled with human fighters crawling like rats, striking from below. A squad of alien soldiers entered a hospital, only to discover it was a trap. The patients were soldiers in disguise, and the walls exploded around them. Every corner of Earth became a weapon, every human a soldier. One alien officer finally admitted what his commanders had denied. "We thought this would be easy. We thought they would surrender. But Earth is not a battlefield. It is a monster. And the humans are its teeth." High above, alien fleets watched their ground troops falter. Reports came of rising losses, of morale breaking, of soldiers refusing orders. The commanders could not believe it. How could primitives resist the armies of the Council? How could they turn every tree, every storm, every stone against them? Yet the truth was clear. The humans had lived with danger since the beginning of their history. To them, war was only another kind of survival. And survival was what they knew best. In hidden bunkers, human leaders listened to the reports. They knew they could not win in numbers. They knew their technology was weaker. But they also knew the truth their enemies did not. Fear is a weapon. Every alien soldier who felt the jungle watching, every commander who doubted his own victory, every whisper of Deathworlders spreading through the ranks, these were victories as sharp as bullets. Night fell again. Across the forests, the deserts, the cities, the humans moved. Silent, patient, deadly. The ground itself seemed to awaken with them. And as the aliens huddled in fear, one thought began to grow stronger than orders, stronger than discipline, stronger even than the pride of the Council. Perhaps the Elder had been right. Perhaps Earth was not a world to conquer. Perhaps Earth was a world to fear. The alien commanders gathered in their warships above Earth, their faces pale, their voices sharp with fear. Reports from the ground came in like a flood, each one worse than the last. Squads gone missing. Camps overrun. Soldiers refusing to fight. The Council fleets had faced resistance before on other worlds, but never like this. Never against enemies who fought with such fury, such madness. One commander slammed his clawed hand against the table. "They are only humans. They should be breaking." But the silence that followed showed no one believed that anymore. The reports were clear, humans were not breaking. They were breaking the invaders. Prisoners were taken, though not many. Those who returned alive spoke with shaking voices. They described ambushes that came from nowhere, strikes that ended before they could raise weapons, and shadows that vanished before their eyes. One soldier told his commander, "They are not soldiers. They are monsters wearing human skin." At first, the words were dismissed as fear, but more and more prisoners said the same. The humans did not fight like any other race. They did not fear pain. They did not fear death. They used the world itself as their ally, as if the storms and the beasts answered their call. One captured alien medic whispered of a human who fought with 3 bullets in his chest, still charging forward until he cut down the entire squad. Another spoke of a woman who set fire to herself rather than be taken alive, dragging 2 enemy soldiers with her into the flames. To the Council, this was madness. To humans, it was survival. And survival was stronger than fear. In the streets of ruined cities, humans fought with eyes that glowed with rage. They looked fragile, soft-skinned compared to armored aliens, yet they moved with a predator's grace. They hunted. They struck. They killed with precision. They were not prey, they were hunters who had learned the art of war from the harshest teacher of all, Earth itself. Alien soldiers began refusing patrol duty at night. They whispered of hearing footsteps in the dark, of seeing faces in the trees, of voices mocking them in strange human tongues. Fear spread like poison. The Council commanders tried to control it, tried to remind their troops of their superior weapons, their greater numbers, their proud history. But pride could not silence terror. Pride could not stop the image of humans who smiled in the middle of battle, who laughed as they bled, who fought as if every death was only fuel for their fire. One commander demanded proof of these monster stories. He ordered surveillance drones to record battles. What he saw chilled him. A single human squad ambushed a full company of alien soldiers. The humans moved with terrifying patience. They struck from the shadows, fell back, then struck again. When cornered, they did not run. They charged. The drones captured the moment one human, badly wounded, leaped onto an armored vehicle and tore open its hatch with explosives, sacrificing himself to destroy the entire machine. The commander watched the footage in silence. Then he whispered, "They are not like us. They do not fear death. That makes them dangerous." Rumors spread beyond the fleets. Across the galaxy, other species began to hear the stories. Some laughed at first, but laughter died when the casualty numbers arrived. Entire divisions gone. Dozens of ships lost. And Earth still stood. The whispers grew into a single word, repeated in fear across alien tongues: Deathworlders. In the council chamber far away, leaders received the reports with disbelief. How could a young race resist the might of the galaxy? How could they turn victory into failure? Some demanded more fleets, more firepower. Others suggested retreat. But pride chained them to their war. They would not admit weakness. They would not admit fear. And so the fighting grew worse. The humans only grew stronger. On Earth's surface, human fighters began to work together with a frightening unity. Soldiers from every nation stood side by side. Civilians armed themselves. Resistance groups rose in every city. The aliens had expected chaos, division, and surrender. Instead, they found a species that became one in the face of danger. Humanity was uniting, not breaking. And in that unity, the aliens saw something they had never faced before. It was not just war. It was vengeance. Alien soldiers captured in later battles begged their commanders not to send them back. "We would rather die in space," they said, "than face the monsters below." But the commanders had no choice. The war had begun, and pride would not allow retreat. Yet deep inside, even the commanders knew the truth. The humans were not simply defending their home. They were showing the galaxy what it meant to be born on a death world. They were showing why survival had shaped them into something terrifying. The galaxy thought they had found prey. Instead, they had found predators. And the worst part was clear: the humans were only just beginning to fight. The war dragged on longer than the Council had ever expected. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The fleets above Earth lost more ships with every battle. The soldiers on the ground grew weaker, their morale broken by shadows and whispers of human hunters. The commanders, once proud, now argued in secret. Some wanted to continue the fight no matter the cost. Others feared the cost was already too high. Yet the humans were not standing still. They were changing. They were adapting. They were preparing for something greater. For the first time in human history, all nations of Earth came together under one command. Old rivals set aside their grudges. Borders meant nothing now. It was humanity against the galaxy. Leaders spoke to their people not with fear but with fire. "We will not kneel. We will not break. This is our world, and we will fight for it together." Factories that once built cars and tools now built weapons. Laboratories that once studied medicine now created machines of war. Scientists and soldiers worked side by side, driven by the knowledge that failure meant extinction. Humanity poured its full strength into the war, and the results began to show. New weapons appeared on the battlefield. Railguns that fired metal rods faster than light, cutting through alien armor like paper. Plasma shields powered by dangerous experiments, protecting human ships against beams that once tore them apart. Drones and cyber warfare programs hacked into alien systems, turning their own technology against them. The galaxy had more ships, more numbers, more experience. But humans had something else: the will to innovate in desperation. They had always done it. Fire in caves. Engines in the sky. Rockets to the stars. Now their desperation made them faster, sharper, deadlier than ever. The Council fleets began to lose ground. Where once they moved with confidence, now they hesitated. Human fleets struck them in ambushes, hit-and-run attacks that bled them dry. Ground soldiers reported entire divisions wiped out by human counterattacks. And for every alien death, a whisper spread louder across the galaxy. Deathworlders. Other alien species listened to the whispers. Some had once feared the Council's power, but now they saw it failing against humanity. Secret messages passed between them. If humans can resist, maybe we can too. Seeds of rebellion began to stir in distant systems. The Council leaders grew afraid of more than humans. They grew afraid of losing control of the galaxy itself. In the war room on Earth, human commanders looked at their maps with grim satisfaction. They had paid in blood, but they were still standing. One general said, "For the first time in history, the galaxy knows our name. And they will not forget it." But the war was not yet won. The Council gathered their fleets for a massive assault. They would throw everything into one strike, hoping to crush humanity once and for all before their own empire fractured. Their armadas gathered like storm clouds, blotting out the stars. Yet humanity was ready. They no longer fought only on their own soil. They had built fleets strong enough to leave Earth and strike the Council back. For the first time, human ships entered alien space. They struck outposts, destroyed supply lines, burned colonies. The galaxy gasped. A young species was not supposed to do this. A Deathworld species was not supposed to rise so fast. In the Council chambers, voices shouted over one another. They are a disease. They must be exterminated. But deep down, fear gnawed at their hearts. If humans could not be crushed now, then perhaps they could never be crushed. The turning point had come. Humanity had gone from prey to predator, from hunted to hunter. The invaders had come to teach humans obedience, but instead they had taught them unity. Instead they had given them purpose. And now, humanity was reaching for the stars not as students, not as subjects, but as warriors. The Council commanders prepared their final assault, but in their silence they wondered if it would even matter. For every plan they made, humans made another. For every weapon they used, humans built something new. For every fear they tried to sow, humans turned it back on them. And all across the galaxy, species that had once bowed to the Council whispered the same thing. Perhaps the Deathworlders cannot be defeated. Perhaps they are the storm that will sweep the galaxy clean. Humanity looked to the skies with fire in their hearts. The war had changed. The hunted had become the hunters. And the galaxy would soon learn the cost of awakening monsters. The galaxy had never seen a war like this. The Council, once feared as the strongest power in the stars, was losing control. Their fleets still numbered in the thousands, their soldiers still filled worlds, but the whispers of failure spread faster than their orders. Humanity had turned what should have been a quick victory into a nightmare that stretched across the stars. Now, the Council prepared for their final move. They gathered armadas from every corner of their empire, pulling fleets away from colonies, leaving other systems exposed, all for one purpose: to crush humanity before rebellion consumed the galaxy. The armada they created was larger than anything humanity had ever faced, a storm of steel and fire, blotting out the light of suns as it moved. Alien commanders swore this battle would end the war. "No more games," one said. "No more patience. We will burn them until nothing remains." But humans were not waiting idly. They had seen the signs, intercepted the signals, and they knew the storm was coming. In hidden shipyards carved into asteroids, human fleets were being built faster than ever. In bunkers deep below Earth's surface, scientists tested weapons that even they feared to unleash. Leaders spoke to their people with steady voices. "The galaxy thinks this war will destroy us. Instead, it has made us stronger. We will not hide. We will not beg. We will bring the fight to their very heart." And so, when the Council armada advanced, they did not find helpless prey. They found hunters waiting in the dark. Human fleets no longer lingered close to Earth. They had spread outward, striking the Council in places the aliens thought safe. Mining worlds burned. Supply lines collapsed. Space stations were torn apart by sudden attacks. For the first time, alien soldiers saw human ships above their own colonies, and terror filled them. "They should not be here," one officer cried. "This is our space." But humans no longer cared about borders. To them, every star was a battlefield. They had taken the war into the Council's home territory, and they showed no mercy. The Council fleets pursued them, but chasing humans was like chasing shadows. Small, fast ships darted through asteroid fields, striking and vanishing. Heavier vessels fired devastating railguns from impossible ranges, shredding alien cruisers before melting back into the dark. The galaxy had thought humans were weak. Now it saw them as predators who turned space itself into their hunting ground. Morale in the Council fleets began to crack. Captains argued. Soldiers whispered of curses, of death-world monsters who could not be stopped. A new kind of fear grew, the fear of space itself. If humans could appear anywhere, if they could strike in any system, then no one was safe. But the true terror came when the humans unleashed their new creations. Weapons forged in desperation, fueled by science that pushed the edge of madness. Drones that swarmed like locusts, overwhelming defenses. Bombs that bent energy into storms that tore through entire fleets. Cyberattacks that shut down alien warships mid-battle, leaving them helpless as human guns tore them apart. The Council had numbers, but numbers could not stop innovation. Numbers could not stop fury. In one system, the Council lost 200 ships in a single night, ambushed by human fleets that appeared from hidden wormholes. Survivors spoke of fire in the skies, of entire armadas destroyed by weapons they had never seen before. One captain wept in shame as he sent his last transmission. "They are not fighting for conquest. They are fighting for survival. That makes them unstoppable." Across the galaxy, fear spread like wildfire. Worlds that once bowed to the Council began to rise in rebellion, inspired by humanity's defiance. Some even offered secret aid to the humans, smuggling resources, sharing knowledge. The Council realized too late that the war was no longer just against Earth. The war was against the idea of resistance, against the belief that empires could fall. And that belief was spreading faster than any fleet could stop. Yet still the Council pushed forward, desperate, furious, refusing to accept defeat. Their Grand Armada moved toward Earth once again, determined to end the war in one final blaze of destruction. But this time, humanity was not alone. They had allies hidden in the shadows, other races ready to strike when the time was right. They had weapons the galaxy had never imagined. And above all, they had the strength of a death world burning in their blood. The Council thought they had seen human fury, but they had only seen the beginning. Now they would see what true terror looked like. Now they would learn why humanity had survived on a world that should have killed them. And as the Armada drew closer, filling the void with endless ships, the humans prepared to deliver their answer. The war was no longer about Earth's survival. It was about the galaxy's future. And the galaxy would never be the same. The Council Armada darkened the stars as it closed around Earth. Thousands of ships moved in perfect formation, their weapons glowing like suns, their engines roaring like thunder. It was the largest fleet ever gathered in galactic history, built to end the war in one decisive strike. To the Council, this was not only about destroying humanity. It was about proving to the galaxy that resistance was impossible. If Earth survived, rebellion would spread everywhere. If Earth burned, fear would rule again. In silence, alien commanders gave the order. Advance. Surround them. Leave nothing alive. On Earth, the skies shook with the weight of approaching death. Civilians hid in bunkers, soldiers manned defenses, leaders watched the stars with unblinking eyes. Humanity had known this day would come. They had prepared for it, not with hope of peace but with the certainty of fire. The world united, every nation, every people, every voice joined together. They had only one message: we will not fall. Human fleets launched from hidden stations, rising into the black like swarms of arrows. Their numbers were small compared to the endless waves of the Council, but their eyes burned with fury. They carried the will of a deathworld in their hearts, and that was more than numbers. The first clash shook the void. Alien beams carved through human ships, tearing dozens apart in seconds. Explosions lit the dark as metal and fire scattered across space. But the humans did not retreat. They charged forward, railguns tearing holes through cruisers, drones swarming over carriers, hacking into systems, turning the Council's weapons against themselves. Human ships burned, but more pressed on, fearless, relentless. For every ship destroyed, another hurled itself into the heart of the enemy, willing to die if it meant taking their foe with them. In the chaos, a whisper began to spread among alien soldiers. They do not fight to win. They fight to survive. They fight until nothing is left. Terror grew. The Council Armada expected to crush resistance quickly, but the battle dragged on. Hours turned into days. Humans fought with no rest, no surrender, no mercy. When their ships were crippled, they rammed into enemy vessels. When their weapons were destroyed, they turned their ships into bombs. Entire squadrons sacrificed themselves to break through enemy lines. The Council had never faced such madness, never faced such will. On the ground, Earth itself roared to life. Alien troops who tried to land met firestorms, earthquakes, and endless ambushes. Every street, every forest, every mountain became a trap. Civilians fought beside soldiers, wielding whatever weapons they could. The planet itself seemed to rise against the invaders. For the aliens, it was no longer a war. It was a nightmare they could not escape. In orbit, a turning point came. Humanity unleashed its final weapon, massive cannons hidden deep within Earth's crust, powered by energy drawn from the planet itself. When they fired, the sky split open. Blinding beams lanced upward, tearing through entire fleets in a single strike. Alien battleships that had ruled the stars for centuries vanished in bursts of fire. The Council Armada faltered. For the first time, they hesitated. And hesitation in battle is death. Humanity pressed forward with everything they had. Fleets pushed into the broken lines, fighters swarmed, cannons fired again and again. The Council Armada began to break. Orders turned to screams. Commanders lost control. Ships fled in chaos. The greatest fleet in galactic history shattered under the fury of Deathworlders. Survivors fled into the void, leaving wreckage burning above Earth. The galaxy watched in silence as the impossible happened. Humanity had stood against the most powerful empire in the stars, and humanity had won. The cost was heavy. Thousands of human ships were gone, millions of lives lost, cities broken. But Earth still stood. Humanity still stood. And in their survival, they had shown the galaxy something greater than weapons or numbers. They had shown why they were called Deathworlders. For a Deathworld is a place that kills without mercy, a place that shapes its children into survivors, predators, warriors. Humanity was the child of such a world. To fight them was to fight Earth itself. To fight them was to fight against fire, storm, and death. Across the galaxy, the whispers became truth. Never fight the Deathworlders. Never wake the monsters in human skin. For if you do, you will learn as the Council learned, that humanity does not bow, humanity does not break, humanity does not die quietly. They rise. They endure. And when the war is over, they remain standing while empires fall. And so the Galactic War ended not with Earth in ashes, but with the Council in ruins. Humanity had taken its first step into the stars not as subjects, not as slaves, but as legends. The galaxy would remember this war forever. They would remember the day they tried to break Earth, and Earth broke them instead. They would remember the day the Deathworlders rose.